the movie theater. For some, a place that is almost holy. People are really obsessed with movies. It's like a house of worship. For others, a more casual place to just, watch a movie just for whatever. And for others still, the movie theater can be a place to realize their most sadistic, horrific impulses, like chatting or shouting stuff out during the movie, or like kicking the seat in front of them, shit like that. But what is a movie theater without the movies? And so I'm starting a new series about the history of cinema, of movies, of film. So this is a new feature of The Truth About Cats and Bratz. The history of film.
Fuck you, Austin. Do your history, dude. Do your fucking cinematic history.
What was the very first motion picture film? There are three answers. The first was from 1874. It's called Transit of Venus. And they used some big camera, and they were able to take a few photographs of the planet Venus transiting. I don't know how they did it. I looked it up. I still don't really understand it, but it's technically a moving picture, could be considered the first motion picture. And then the other one that's largely considered the first film proper, shot on film, projected on film, is Round Hay Garden Scene from 1888 by Louis Le Prince in the UK. It's just some people walking around a garden, fucking about in a garden for about 1.6 seconds. But I like to consider the work of Edward Muybridge to be the first. So let's talk about Eadweard Muybridge. So Edward was this guy in the 1800s. And here's a picture of him. He's about 24 years old in this photo. He spells his name, all crazy, but it's pronounced Eadweard. And he was, in fact, born with it spelled the normal way, just Eadweard. And he changed it. He added all these extra letters for a pretty interesting reason, actually. He did it because he was pretentious. Before his film career, he worked as a photographer using the name Helios, which means Titan of the Sun. And he used that name for similar reasons. Most famously, he made Sally Gardner at a gallop. And he took a series of photographs of a man riding a horse. If you've seen the trailer for Nope, you have seen Sally Gardner at a gallop in its entirety. This railroad tycoon, this rich railroad guy hired him to take a bunch of photos of a horse trotting to find out if the horse's hooves are ever all off the ground at the same time. So at first, he was trying to figure out how the cameras could, shutter quicker and do camera stuff, because it's hard to take a picture of something in movement, or it was in the 1870s. This was 1878. Then Muybridge also invented the zoopraxiscope, which was able to show the images in quick succession. It was like an early form of a projector, basically, really cool. And he had a whole photography career, and then he got brain damage. He got in a stagecoach accident where he hit his head on a rock, and it changed his personality a bit and made him more eccentric and mean or whatever. And he did murder someone in 1874, about 4 years before Sally Gardner at a gallop. So this is the most famous film. This is what he's known for. This is the one that's featured in the trailer for Nope. But more importantly, he did a series of these animals in motion. He also did people in motion. He did a lot of nude people, men and women, just walking upstairs or carrying a jug of water or saying hi to their kid or whatever. But he did a lot of animals one too. He did a bison running and a capybara. And he did something that I think is more important than the very first piece of motion picture. He made one of a cat trotting. It's called cat trotting changing to a gallop. So in 1887, Eadweard Muybridge made the very first cat video, which I think is probably the most significant contribution to cinema history in cinema history. So that's the first motion picture.
The truth about cats and
Do your fucking cinematic history.